Friends, at the outset, I thank the college administration, management, principal, and the convener of this special sessions for giving me an opportunity to discuss some of the very important aspects of the research methodology. Today I am going to discuss exploring the research problem, methods, and models. Friends, in almost all types of research, there are three important components. One is formulation of the research problem. Second is the adoption of an appropriate research methodology. And the third one is research writing, citations, references, research ethics, combating the plagiarism, etc. Of these three, so many organizations, for example, ICSSR and even UGC and some other, organization funding agencies provide funds to the research methodology course. Whereas first and last, that is formulation of the research problem and the research writing. So there is a no, it is a part of the methodological issues, but they are very important. Now today we are going to discuss some of the very methods and models of the research problem. You see, most of the students confuse in selection of the research areas. Particularly, they are mostly dependent on the supervisors. They don't have any choice. But this is very wrong because students should have some interest in some of the aspects. Either it may be a topic or it may be a problem. But students should have some interest in particular areas. Now, while choosing the research areas, look for the issues, not the topics. Even if you select the topic, you look at the problem therein so that your research problem is properly defined. Because if your research problem is poorly defined, it leads to ambiguity and it deviates from the objectivity. In that perspective, selection of the research problem is one of the very important tasks before the research students. Even in the most of the university administrations, immediately after the merit list is displayed on the notice board and students are asked to take the admissions, and immediately after admission students are expected to submit the proposal, synoptic outline of their research work. So within a couple of days, a student cannot prepare a synoptic outline unless he gives some time to go through the review of literature, to refer to some of the research areas of his interest. So particularly after admissions, at least 6 months period should be given to the students so that the student can go through the review of literature and the available literature, and he can have an exhaustive discussion with the supervisors and other academic staff so as to confine his research areas. So that is the very important, aspect of the research activities. Now, what are the criteria for selecting research problem? You should be highly motivated to embark upon the research studies because your motivation is very important. Of late, most of the students couldn't get pass in NET and SET examination. And what is the alternative? Alternative is going for the research or PhD. So in that way, so motivation and interest is not being created. So the interest and motivation and giving some time and even giving some time to refer to the literature is a very important task before the students. The second criteria is, are you really interested in that particular problem or topic? So there may be some causal relationship. Why you are interested in that particular area? There may be some reasons. You should explore all those things. Will this topic have some practical value? Because in most of the social sciences, there should be some relevance, social relevance, economic relevance. The society should get the benefit of your research. That is, obviously it is expected. So in that perspective, the criteria of selecting the research problem depends upon, motivation, observations, experience, and your urge, need to go for that particular research problem. Then the question arises, why to define the research problem then? What is the relevance of that? Defining the research problem is like you are confining your destination of your journey, where you are expected to go. So, unless this is been very perfectly defined, you cannot proceed towards the corresponding, stages of the research activities. There are so many determinants of research deliverables. Because go on asking questions yourself. What you will do when you select a particular topic, what you will do? Will it withstand scientific scrutiny? If suppose you are going to apply for some of the funding agencies, then the research experts who are making your interviews a very, scrutiny, a type of scrutiny is being done there. And in that, you should be very answerable. Even you should be able to explain before the non-expert persons. That is a very important task. Expert can understand, but non-experts should understand your problem. So how you will do it? What you may achieve from all these, activities. So in that perspective, you will see there are two important reasons. One is think through the process because it is a stepwise process. So what would be the first, what would be the second, what would be the third step? So you should proceed like this. And the second very important reason is communicate your thoughts to strengthen your willpower to go for a particular research areas. You should discuss with not only your supervisor, supervisor is a must. You will discuss with him or her. But simultaneously, there are other experts So seek advice from those things. Seek advice from your friends. Seek advice from, you go on explaining those things before a team of your friends. So then questions arises. So you should be able to answer those questions. So that would be the best process to go for a particular research. Then what is the agenda of doing research? Research philosophy and research model is a must, because when you are selecting a particular problem, exploring it with certain methodological issues, and then you are making some samples, field work, analyzing the data with some of the very perfectly applied tools, and then you will be able to prepare your philosophical ideology about your research. So you will build your model. So that would be an addition to the literature. So that is expected from the research activities. Specify the concept and the statements. Primary research requires primary resources. Secondary research requires secondary resources, data resources. So in some of the cases you will see people are very fond of making some field works. But is it necessary? Field work is necessary. What is the time of your field work? What is the size of sampling? How you have selected the sampling? Whether it is a probable sampling or non-probable sampling? And which tools you are applying? Parametric tools you are applying or non-parametric tools you are applying? So these are the very important questions that the researcher should understand. Because researcher is an unbiased person. Bias they should be avoided from all those things. Sometimes what happens, this is my district, so I am working on the district. This is my organization, so I am very much fond, interested in making some research on that particular organization. So this should not be the case. There should be some justifications. Why you are going for a particular state or particular, district or particular organization? What is the reason? So you should be very perfectly able to explain all those things. Then will be it would be one of the best piece of work that you can do in that research. Similarly, you will see some problem tree is to be developed. So that will very much helpful for model building. Particularly, this is an example. You take for example food security. Food security or secured food system. Why? Instead of going for the food security, why you are going for the secured food system? Or why you are going for the food security? If it is food security, then there are two aspects. The first aspect has different subsections. Second aspect has some subsections. Then subsection under subsections. So go on building like this. So that will be very useful for building your model. So when you put a statement, I start working on that particular research areas. So there are different facets of your, problem areas. So making a problem tree and keep asking why. Why it is so? So then it would be a model building process. And that model building process will definitely help you to, to be on the track of the research topic. What are the sources of ideas? From where you will get it? Because once you are crudely interested in particular research areas, then what are the sources of ideas? So your ideas should be checked by the experts, by your supervisors, by your teachers, by some of your academic friends. So the problem encountered in day-to-day life, or if you are in the profession, then that profession may have some questions, may have some problems. In academics, if you are interested in a particular topic of the particular subject, then within that topic, find out the problem. Don't select the, directly don't select the topic. Within that topic, you should be able to search out the research problem. And once the research problem is confined, then that would be the source of your ideas. Now, in many times I used to say experience plus observations plus needs plus interest, that becomes the research problem. Because you should have some experience, you should have some research observations. A common man can also observe so many things, but researchers' observations and the analysis of that particular observation is very important. It is a very, very valuable, you know, statements that you can make after observation. Then urge, inner motivation, and your interest in that particular area. So that would be the best research problem that you can correspondingly work on that particular research areas. Then read some professional, literature. Professional literature, the review of literature is very important component. The topic which you have selected or the area of your interest, go on reviewing the literature. Go on attending so many seminars, conferences, how the papers are being designed, how the people are presenting, what methodology they are adopting, how they are exploring the whole analysis, what tools they are using, what conclusion, how they can derive the conclusions. So suggestions from the investigators, suggestions from the experts, suggestions from the, you know, seminar and all other symposium and so many organizations conduct, your professional bodies. For example, subject associations. Yearly they call some papers and discuss thoroughly in that particular areas. So annual conferences are very, very useful to the researchers. Perusal of recent convention programs of your professional organization. What are the recent, how they choose the subject? How they, identify the research problems? So that would be a very, very source of inspiration to the researchers. And those things should be properly acknowledged. Now, in coming to, there are so many research methods. I will not go into the details because the research methodology course component. So many people will cover that particular area. So my focus is the research models where you are interested to work. There are two types of research paradigms. One is quantitative and the another is qualitative. Quantitative is very traditional form. It is a positivist approach. It is experimental or it is empiricist because it requires primary data. Without data, you cannot work on that particular area. So that is why it is known as quantitative paradigm. Fieldwork, secondary source of data, some data information. Either the quality data can also be quantified. So by using so many, methodological, for example, ethnographs, mostly the journalists and all other people use it. So by using those things, you can come out with some of the quality data expressed in quantitative form. So that is an art of going for or exploring the interrelationships. So this quantitative approach has been advanced or advocated by Comte Mill, Durkheim, Newton, Locke. So these are the very prominent persons to explore the quantitative research paradigm. The another area of research and research paradigm is qualitative. It is it adds to the literature basically because it is a qualitative work. It is a very constructive work. It is a naturalistic approach. It is sometimes known as the interpretive paradigm. Post-positivist or post-modern perspectives are dealt with in these particular qualitative approaches. Most of the Nobel Prize winners basically they work on this qualitative, you know, paradigm. So this is being advanced by Dithe, Kant, Wittgenstein, Foucault, Miles, Huberman. So these are the prominent advocates of quantitative research paradigm. Now, you see, there are so many methodological issues where our research stands. Because without assumptions, we cannot proceed towards the approach. And there are five types of, you know, assumptions. One is ontological, second is epistemological, third one is axiological, fourth one is rhetoric, and fifth one is methodological. Most of our PhD scholars are very much interested in fifth type of assumptions, that is methodological assumptions. If suppose ontological assumptions, basically how the questions are being raised in that assumption, what is the nature of reality? In the epistemological, what is the relationship of the researchers to that of researched? Such type of questions are raised in that. In the axiological aspect, what is the role of the values? So questions like this are raised. In the rhetoric, you will see what is the language of the research. And last one, which is very familiar to our research scholar, is what is the process of research. So it is a methodology because methodological assumptions requires process of research design is to be acknowledged. If it is a quantitative form, you look at that. I will prefer on the fifth one because mostly our research students are concentrating on that particular assumption. You look at this. Under the methodological assumptions, the question of process or the question of research design, question of selection of the samples, so it plays a very significant role. And that is why methodology is very important in the fifth assumption. But if it is a quantitative aspect or the quantitative research paradigm, we follow the deductive processes and we use cause and effect in the deductive form. Cause and effect relationship, it is a very interesting in research activities. Static research design basically is assumed. Categories isolated before study, context free, that is independent generalizations leading to predictions, explanations, and understanding. So, under the deductive system, so this methodological assumption works under the quantitative paradigm. You see, most of the students must know the scientific methods, the logical sequence of your research ideas, because logic plays a very significant role. And that is why when scientific method and logic is assumed, based on that we prepare our hypothesis. That is the logical interpretation of observations explored in the form of hypothesis. That may be a crude hypothesis. Hypothesis may be in the one sentence or in the set of sentences. Because deductive and inductive methods in the logic, because logical aspect is very important. Because in the qualitative form of research, if you are assuming the methodological assumptions, we use inductive process. That is simultaneous shaping of the factors. Because it is a qualitative work, and inductive techniques are used to analyze the whole observations. In this process, you will see patterns and theories are developed. Basically, qualitative approach is useful to define a theory or explore the theory. Most of the Nobel laureates work on qualitative research paradigm. So, the fifth assumption and the fifth question, and whether you are working on the inductive techniques or the deductive techniques, which technique is more favorable? If you are working on the quantitative, then deductive process is very useful. And if you are working on the qualitative research paradigm, then inductive methods is to be followed. So that is the framework that you can develop. So when you identify the research problem, that problem should have some, process, decide. And based on that, then which quality approach or quantity approach you are interested. So that would be very useful guideline to the researchers. Now, if you look at this, paradigm. Now, there are 10 important steps in the research process. And that research process starts with big question. What is the big question? Big question is nothing but your research problem. That you can term it as the big question. Then the second step is, so what is the relevance? Why I am interested? What is the relevance of this problem to the country, to the individuals, to the organizations? What is the relevance? Then if you are confined to those relations, then go for the hypothesis. What is the hypothesis? You can decide. Hypothesis may be a few hypotheses, not sometimes more hypotheses may get confused because you have to develop H1 and H0, and based on those things then you have to test those things, because hypothesis requires to be tested in 5 steps. Then who cares the impact? The third important aspect, fourth important aspect is who cares the impact? What would be the impact and who cares those things? Because that would be a source of policy decisions. Then why now? Why it is being selected and why you are interested to work? Why now? And similarly, why me? What methodology we are going to follow? And then you will close the whole process. You will close the whole process. So when a big questions, that is the research problem you select, and the whole process goes through the 10 steps, and then your research problem will be okay. Because if you are working in quantitative or qualitative, then it requires some data tools, some assumptions, some hypothesis, and testing of those hypotheses through using the quantitative techniques. That can be perfectly confined. Now look at this diagram. So what it indicates, you see on OY axis the interest of research is measured, and on the OX axis feasibility is measured. And the concave curves shows the large gain to the knowledge, it is the upper side on the OY axis, and easy problem or short time at the OX axis. So this easy problem students basically prefer, but supervisor don't agree with that because there is a small gain in knowledge. That's why it is shown in red stars. There are so many good problems there. But if a student is very much interested in working on the OY axis, the large gain knowledge point, so that is being accepted by the investigators as supervisors. But it is very difficult because capability of the student should be taken into account. So students' capacity and the topic should be given justice, and the interest of the supervisor should be protected. So in that perspective, both should come together, find out a trade-off between those ideologies, and find out the Pareto optima. Pareto optima plays a very significant role in deciding the topic and deciding the whole universe of the research work. So the trade-off is very important. Good for both supervisors and good for the researchers. Once your problem is very very scientific and you are interested to work on those problems, then your research will be world recognized. That's why selection of the perfect research problem is an important task before the researchers. Otherwise, some case study and some other, here and there collection of some secondary source of data, making some field work, whatever the questions are asked, the answers are being given by the respondents, and based on those other responses, we are exploring the whole analysis. So in that perspective, the reality should be taken note of. In foreign countries, you will see the field work is being attended by the supervisors along with the students. Because whether the field work is, qualitative or not. If field work is not required, then what is the use of it? It should not be demographic information of the samples. So many times it happens like that. When you prepare the structured questionnaires, half of the part is related to the demographic characteristics, and then half of the other part you know questions yes or no, questions yes or no, questions yes or no. Yes or no has no meaning. Out of 100, some people will be doing responding yes, some will be not. So this is the mere statistical analysis, and that has no value at all. That is why the field work should be very very perfect, and it is totally relevant to the big problem that you are interested to work on. Now coming to the steps of the good research design. What are the 10 steps? The first step is problem, understanding the problem, understanding the realities, making your observations very scientific, and encouraging your interests and needs. That would be the perfect research area that you can undertake. Undergraduate research or beginners, those who are very much interested only because of the degree, PhD degree, They should be very, very cautious about this. Secondly, the second step is identification of key unknowns and the research questions. Because unknowns and known factors should be acknowledged related to your big question. So some introductory part, or what is happening, what is the research, literature available. So what are the research gaps? So how you are going to fill up those gaps through your research work? You should be able to justify those things. And then come to the aims and objectives of the research proposal. Then identification of the hypothesis and the process of testing those hypotheses is to be defined. When you are putting hypothesis, it should be testable. And hypothesis requires some sampling. Because unless some sampling is being made and then coming to your H0 or H1, then you will be analyzing the whole observations. Step 5 is identify the key deliverables. Key deliverables. In most of the objectives, how you form the objectives? To study like this. To study dash dash dash. So all objectives, basically it is a tradition of to study like this. But mostly use understanding, estimating, or interpreting. So these are the very important deliverables because that raises the questions, and those questions are answered in your research text. So that is why identify the key deliverables. What are those things? Then identify the key resources. From where I should collect the resources. Source of data information or data management is the very big question in the process, research process. How to manage the data? Data may be in the digital form or it may be in the information form. So how to interpret those things and identify the resources? Then the seventh step is time frame for research. Time frame is very important. And that's why the University Grants Commission has fixed the maximum period of completion of PhD around 5 to 6 years. Then, stop and workflow model. Workflow model is that is the problem tree. So problem tree is to be defined. Make a skeleton of the chapters and go on making some in these subsections. What are the points I should mention? What are the other things that I can include? So in that way, it would be very, very useful to you. Then, what are the risks and the risk mitigation techniques? Because when you are working on the research area, so many risks are there. How to mitigate those risks? You should think of those things. And the last is preparation of the research proposal or synopsis. So in this way, following these 10 steps is a very important, process of going for the best research work. The first step is, let us go the details of those steps. Why are you doing this research? You need to be able to explain to non-specialist persons what is the importance of your work. If there are grants If you are applying for the grants, then it is a competitive. You should be able to satisfy the experts. So how you will process? And if you are publishing some of the papers, you should satisfy the editor, advisor to the editors, because they are the experts in that particular area. So why are you doing this research? That should be perfectly confined and understood. The second thing is identify the key unknowns. What are the key unknowns? What are the key research questions? What gaps can my research project fill? Write a wider justification of your research proposal. That is a must. Where you explore previous work, because without going through the previous work, you cannot go for your research areas. And find out some of the gaps of knowledge and how your research is going to fill up those research gaps of knowledge. This stage is very, very imperative to make sure that your research has not already been done. Such type of work has not been at all done. Some people say, sir, I am working on this urban bank. So another person would say, I will work on that another urban bank. So organization is no matter, because the same things can come up. It is just a duplication of the research work. Because if it is already been done by some experts, then why you are repeating the same thing? So that is why this identification of key unknowns is very important. Then comes, what is your aim and what are your objectives? Objectives, maybe they should be very small one. And basically, while formulating your objectives, the use of words like this: compare, determine, characterize, explain, quantify, interpret, measure. So it has some meaning. It has some meaning. Don't put vague, objectives. And those objectives should be relevant to your big question. That is a research problem. Don't be over ambiguous. It should be realistic and you should be very confident. And the process should be encouraging. What is the next? What is the next? So clear, precise, and very simple few objectives can be explored. Then fourth step, what hypothesis are you testing? Because testing is very important. There are 5 steps of testing the hypothesis. Because H1, H0, sometimes some experts would say that when you are putting H1, put H0 also. But the sense of putting H0 is to be taken into account. Only putting no and not, negative hypothesis, is not H0. Basically, the opposite of the statement H1. What would be the case? So that would be very, very logical. That should be very logical. It is not so simple. Putting only not, it may become negative H0. But logical sequence should be properly understood. So the false, hypothesis may create so many problems in the research process. Hypothesis is a tentative explanation that accounts for the set of facts. You are going to identify the facts. And based on those facts, you are preparing the model, that is the theory. And that is why there is a relevance, facts and theories. Now it is a must in our research activities. Now, fifth one is identify the key deliverables. I have mentioned some of the in the how to form the objectives like that. Deliverables should be used the words like understanding, quantification, conceptual, process, interpretation, analysis, characterization, determination. So those things are very important. When you are writing the reports, the use of words like however, moreover, further, so that creates readers may get enthusiasm to what is the next, what is the next, like that. So the reader's interest should be protected. So that is very, very useful to the researchers. And all these things should address towards the big question. That is the research problem. Because that should not be left aside. Then comes the identify key resources. What resources will you need to complete your research project? Will you need to do field work? If it is necessary, go. Bhaviskar and Atwood have given a very simple, small pamphlet, The Field and Field Worker. It's very readable. The researchers, those who are dependent on field work, they should read it. Will you need specific computer resources? There are so many SPSS packages, views there, views, statistical analysis or tools are so available. So in that particular, imagination, the resources should be properly identified, particularly the field, the sampling, the questionnaire, observation, open-ended or close-ended questionnaire, and how to tabulate those things, how to analyze those things, how to quantify those things, how quality the information or the data, how to quantify it. So like that, you should be able to identify the key resources. Then time frame. Suppose objective number 1 month. Objective number 2, 2 months. Objective number 3, 1 month. You should be able to put a time limit to those things. Working on a particular research area for 10 years, 20 years, it has no meaning. Because after 20 years, that research question may not have some relevance to the current situations. It may become outdated. So that is why within 5 years, you should be able to complete your research. So time framework. And in that time framework, you will see Gantt chart is very famous. You look at this Gantt chart. Objective 1, Objective 2, Objective 3, Objective 4, analysis, then its outcome, then first month, second month, like this. You prepare the time frame so that you will be able to complete your research work within stipulated time. The eighth step is draw up a workflow model. Workflow model. What is my process? When I should go to the field work? Before that, what work I should undertake? How to write the introduction? How to write the conclusions? What is the relevance of introduction? What is the, text and putting some references, citations is very important. So drop the flow work. How you are going to write your, thesis, and how you are going to analyze those things, how to tabulate all those things. So in that perspective, the use of deliverables, writing language, similarly the hypothesis testing process, its results, and the logic addressed to your big question. That is the research problem. It should be correlated and there should be a perfect linkages in between all those steps. Then risk and risk mitigation. So many people work and then say, sir, data is not available, so what can I do? That is a big risk. How to mitigate those things? Because half work is being done. And now you are saying that data is not available, people are not going to provide those things. Since it is a private company or the private asset, the private people cannot give their secrets. So they identify the risk, identify the mitigation of those such risks. So it is a very important thing. Otherwise, you know, so many problems may come up. If you are working on the environmental issues, so risk and risk mitigation is very, very perfect. So science and technology people can also face such type of problem. And the last is undertake the research work. Now you will be very perfect. So in that way, if it is being processed like this, then you will be able to understand the research problem. So what is the necessity? Necessity is your interest, your motivation, your observation, your experience is very important. Because always we used to say a teacher is a person who is one step ahead the society. He always remains one step ahead than the society. I would say a researcher is one who is 10 steps ahead than the society. And then it is a common man. So you are 10 steps ahead than the common man. So your logic, your interpretation, your statements are very, very valuable because you are the expert in your areas. And that is why a teacher who is highly educated, a learned person in the society, he should undertake the research because he is the only person to undertake such type of research because he is the expert in his area. No other people, can work on that particular research area. And that is why mostly the people who are engaged in senior colleges and the university system, they should be researchers. Some research component should be undertaken and it is being explored for the benefit of the society, for the benefit of the country. Work, if you work on a particular issue and you come up with a, specific model and the outcome, then you becomes the world famous person in academics. You see, only one research project for your PhD or for your research degrees. So that will take you to the, international level. So that is why selection of the problem, its exploration, stepwise process, formation of objectives and hypotheses, testing of hypotheses in 5 steps, then making the field work perfect. The field should be a representative to your big question. And then you can proceed towards research writing using some quantitative techniques and going for the techniques of research writing, report writing. So that will be a very, very useful process and encouraging process. Mostly, I would suggest some of the researchers, those who are interested to read so many things about this, you go through the Prelude University website. The Prelude University it is in France. They have worked a very tremendous work has been done. How to define research, how to make paragraphs, what is the introduction, how to conclude the whole analysis, how to make a research design. You just go on the Prelude University website and refer all these literature is available there. So it will be very, very useful to your, research. And that would be a very perfect and useful research work that is being, accepted by the society and the academics. So once again, I thank the college administration, basically Mr. Patil, who has invited me, called me to take part in this technical session, the principal, management, and all participants. Wish you all the best. Thank you.